Hey there guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a hell of a few weeks since my last video, I apologise about that, but today I thought I'd come back with another Doctor Who review, and today I'm going to be talking about a Big Finish box set. I think this is the first Big Finish box set that I've actually reviewed, because I've got about four, well, technically six. I've got two limited edition box sets and four normal, like, sort of releases that didn't get well, one of them did get a limited edition, but I've got Classic Doctor's New Monsters, the 10th Doctor Adventures, and Only the Monstrous. And I'm going to review Unit Extinction, which is one of the first ones I got. And I have to say, it's an absolutely fantastic box set. It's one that I picked up sometime last year, a couple of months after it got released. One of the reasons why I wanted to get this box set was because it featured one of my favourite Doctor Who villains, the Autons and the Nesting Consciousness, as well as a particular actor who was in EastEnders. But I think he was so good in that, I thought I'd check him out in this particular box set. So without any further ado, let's crack on and take a look at the cover art. I really do like this cover design. I think it's really well made. It really catches the eye, and I really like the use of burgundy, sort of the reddish sort of design. So you got the top there, you got the actual cover art itself, you got the spine, which I think is quite nice, and it says this is the first box set, and you've got Unit Extinction at the top, and it says an epic new audio adventure starring Gemma Redgrave, Ingrid Oliver and Warren Brown, and you've got the description on the back, and it's written by Andrew Smith, who I think is a fantastic writer, as well as Matt Fitton. I think they've done a brilliant job with this set, and it's directed by Ken Bentley, and the description is: Unit, Earth's first line of defence, and UK Chief Kate Stewart ensures that that science leads the military response to alien threats. When the scientific advisor Osgood tracks meteorite, it appears to herald a new invasion. Meanwhile, tech billionaire Simon Devlin prepares to go global with a revolutionary new product, but he has other deadly secrets. As danger spreads, unit troubleshooter Sam Bishop is dispatched to Mongolia in a race against the enemy. But is it already too late? The Nesting Consciousness and its army of plastic Autons is rising, and only Unit stands between the human race and total extinction. And it includes a behind-the-scenes disc, which is pretty much the documentary. So you've got the labels of the individual discs, and I'll take them out, and we can start by having a look at the first story in the box set, which is Vanguard. And this is written by Matt Fitton. Now, this story is pretty much the setup of the whole box set and this whole range. And we see Unit doing their daily thing, and they get caught up in the sort of meteorites, trying to search where they've landed. And they sort of then realise that this is a nesting sort of problem, because the man behind it is Simon Devlin, and he's sort of the main villain of this whole box set, and he's played by Steve John Bishop, I think his name is. I can always check if I'm wrong in the sort of cast member credits. And yeah, we see them doing their daily thing. They then go to this sort of launch place of 3D printers, and that's where the whole story sort of takes place, in this sort of launch sort of press conference thing, where Simon Devlin introduces his new products, and he's a incredibly rich billionaire, or well, just a really rich man basically, and it's his way of introducing new sort of plastics into the world, which can take over then the human race. So yes, as you can see, the cover art is really nicely designed. I'll read you the blurb as well, and the blurb is, for this particular story: from a state-of-the-art bunker beneath the Tower of London, Kate Stewart leads a secret army protecting the Earth from extraterrestrial threat. Crash UFOs, strange meteors, a giant lizard and the Seven, all business as usual for Unit. While scientific advisor Osgood attends a Skyfall incident with Colonel Shindy and Captain Josh Carter, Kate's duties take her to visit Devlin Future Tech and reclusive billionaire Simon Devlin. Journalist Jackie McGee is also on Future Tech's case, and nothing is going to get in the way of her story, a product launch that will change the world. So yes, if we take a look inside, we have the disc and the booklet as well. So yeah, I think this story is a nice setup. It really introduces us to the characters and the story, and I think the pacing for each of the stories is really, really well done. I really like the use of sound design, and I think all the performances are pretty good. But I do think Kate Stewart, I never really sort of had much of an interest in her character, but I think her performance is good overall. There are some parts where her line delivery feels a bit sort of robotic, but I thought she did a pretty good job in this box set overall, and I'd say it does a great job of setting the whole story up. So yeah, that's Unit Extinction Vanguard, so that's the first story. And then if we look at the second story, which is probably my favourite in the box set, it's Earthfall, which is written by Andrew Smith, and so I'll read you the blurb for this story. Lieutenant Sam Bishop is finishing an assignment in Bangkok when he receives a call from Kate Stewart. She has a new job for him, a hunt for a stray nesting engine unit that has come down from somewhere in the Gobi Desert. In Mongolia, Sam is joined by Osgood, and they are set off into the Gobi. But there are Autons in this desert. They also are looking for the energy unit, and they're ready to kill anyone who comes into contact with it. Back in London, Kate is becoming suspicious of Simon Devlin, like Simon Devlin's company, and decides to pay him a visit. So, as you can see, the disc is practically the same as the box art. The reason why I really love this particular story is I really like the imagery of the Autons running through the desert. I think if that was on TV, that would look really cool. But it still works really well on audio, and it's quite tense in some part because Osgood and I think Osgood does get sort of held hostage at some point. And I think the sound design in this particular story is really well done. I'm really impressed with it, and I think it's a really good story. I think the pacing is great, especially for this one. And I think Sam Bishop, I think his name is, Sam Bishop is a really good character. I don't really care for him that much, but I think overall he's okay and he was quite good. And I think his acting was great, and I think Osgood is. I think she is like a pretty decent character as well. So yeah, that's Unit Earthfall. Earthfall is the second story. And now for the third story, we have Disc 3, which is Bridgehead. And again, it's written by Andrew Smith. So I'll read you the blurb for this one. With the nesting engine units falling from the skies around the globe, units' resources are stretched to breaking point as they try to respond. Josh Carter has gone undercover inside Devlin's Future Tech. His safety is jeopardized, however, by the activities of investigative journalist Jackie McGee. As the Nestines progress their plans, Kate becomes a target. So yeah, this story is actually quite tense as well. One of the problems that it's not really a major problem, but sometimes the character of Jackie McGee, the journalist, I do find her a little bit annoying because she does sort of get in the way of the main story. But other than that, I think she's okay. She's not amazing or anything, but I think the Andrew Smith stories are probably the best. I think Matt Fitton has still done a great job, but I really love the stories in between. I think they're really good and really, really fantastic. Because I think I've got a bit of a soft spot for Andrew Smith, really. I've loved a lot of his work. And then we have the final story, which is Armageddon, and this is the closing point of this box set. So I'll read you the blurb, and then I'll give you my thoughts on this story. As Autons swarm across the planet, the human race faces its darkest hour. Simon Devlin has helped his alien monsters gain a global foothold, and their scheme is almost complete. As the unit leads the fight back on every front, every continent against an implacable army. Kate Stewart must look to the past for some clue to defeat the plastic menace. The nesting consciousness is growing in power. It has plans for the human race, and when it achieves the ultimate form, it will be unstoppable. Only unit stands between humanity and total extinction. Quite a dramatic blurb there. And of course, like I said before, the disc is the same as the cover art. So as my thoughts on this, sort of the finale of the box set, I'd say it's quite a good end. I was a little bit worried because sometimes with the Big Finish box sets, the concluding story isn't always good and it does feel a little bit rushed. But I think Matt Fitton did a great job of closing it, as well as opening it. I think it didn't feel too dragged out. I thought the pacing was great, and there's a really nice concluding battle between Simon Devlin, the Nesting Consciousness, and the Autons. There's a great battle set in the Tower Bridge in London, where you've got unit soldiers and the Autons fighting, and I think that's a really nice setup. Obviously, they won't be able to do that on TV because of budget reasons, but I think that's a really nice sort of idea of Autons on the Tower Bridge and like really sort of well-known locations. And I think Kate Stewart is pretty good in this. This range helps to sort of delve into her character a bit more, because we didn't really get to see much of her in the actual TV show. We only saw in a couple of stories, such as The Power of Three and The Day of the Doctor. Obviously she's not gonna beat Nicholas Courtney, because he's Nicholas Courtney was fantastic, and the Brigadier is such a great character. Her character can't really stand up to that, but it's nice to see his legacy carrying on through Kate Stewart, which is nice. And he does get mentioned, he does get referenced, the Brigadier that is, in this story. And I think the actual finale, the way everything's rounded up, it's actually pretty good. I was really impressed. And like I said, the pacing is great throughout the box set. Sometimes it can be a little bit off, but I think overall it's done these guys have done a fantastic job. And I should point out that there's a particular news reporter, and it's played by Nicholas Briggs, and sometimes Nicholas Briggs is, he's been in a lot of things, and sometimes it does take you out of it a little bit, because you sort of listen to it and you just instantly know it's Nick Briggs talking, because he's got quite a distinctive voice, I think, and you can just instantly recognise it. But I think overall, this box set is absolutely fantastic. I won't give a rating for each story, but I'll just tell you which one's my favourite, and it's Earthfall. I think that's a brilliant story, but I think I enjoyed all the stories in this box set. I think it's really well written, and if you like the character of Kate Stewart, then I highly recommend that you go and pick this box set up, because especially if you're a fan of the Autons, and if you're a fan of EastEnders, I guess, then you might want to check out Steve John Bishop. I'll just check if I have got the name right. I think I have. Steve John Shepherd. Yeah, not quite, because I think John Bishop's a comedian. But yeah, Steve John Shepherd is brilliant. I really enjoyed his performance. He's probably the highlight of the whole thing. He's such a great villain, and I think Simon Devlin was really well written and really well developed. So I think that sort of leaves my overall rating for the box set, and I'll probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's a great, not necessarily great jumping on point for new listeners, but I think if you're a fan of these characters, Kate Stewart and Osgood, they're great, and I love the Autons as well. It's the main reason I picked up the box set. It's really nice to see more of the Nesting Consciousness, and it's just really good. Some great imagery, great writing, some great performances, and just a really nice, entertaining listen. So yes, thank you very much for watching this review. I'm not sure what my next video is going to be, but I'm sure I'll think of something soon. So thank you very much for watching this, and I shall see you soon.